we spend approximately 20% of that year working, which seems a little low for me, but that's 224 days with 141 days off.
Yes.
Do you guys have 141 days off?
No.
Weekends.
Thought that was interesting, average for the US. We sleep about 28% of our time,
Yes.
which I really think it should be about 50.
Bring it on.
I haven't gotten quite there yet with my retirement. Driving, we spend about 7% of our time driving, and it depends on where you're at, but that's the average. And then I grouped everything else, which is approximately 45%. And that depends on who you are, right? You have kids, you're doing things with them, you're on vacation, you're in Toastmasters 3,100 hours a year. I wish. So all of these other things are in that bucket. So then, of course, I wanted to compare it to me. Let's take a look at Janice's numbers. Took numbers, obviously, for the past 5 years. I had access to Verizon time reporting system, so I took a look at this, and it's interesting that I worked 32% of my time. Now granted, yes, I had this weird job that was 365, 24/7. Who cares if you're on vacation? I did get away if I went on a cruise. They couldn't get a hold of me, so I got away with it then. And then I slept 23% of the time. I think that might be a little bit high. I think it's more in the teens somewhere, but driving, okay, granted, I did just move a couple years ago out into Timbuktu and Waimama, which I love, but it's about an hour drive in normal traffic. So about 12% of my time is spent driving. And then everything else was not Toastmasters, obviously, the last year, okay? And that's a long story, and I'll let Joel and Arnie talk about that. So 33% was other fun stuff, which is the part that I talk about when I have the New Year's parties or the birthday parties, right? But let's do a little compare to the average and what Janice did, and what happens when you go into retirement, you talk about yourself in the third person, I find out. So just doing a comparison with these two, you look at the scale, kind of hokey, right? But, we already worked over that. I worked 37% more than the average person I worked.
Wow.
And as far as minutes in a year. 35%. It's like crazy when I felt it. Then I slept 18% less than the average person. Now granted, hey, it's a lot more now. It's great. I'm not worried about it, but for the last 5 years with Verizon. Driving. Now granted, again, I made the decision to move away and had come up here for friends and such as that as parties. So I drove 42% more time than other people did. And then everything else was 37% less time. So that was 37% less time going to events or going to parties or going on vacation or anything else that I wanted to do. Now, did I use this to make a decision to retire? Not really directly. However, I probably felt it. So what's interesting, doing all this, analytical stuff, you find out that all of the folks in here average probably about to 85. You probably should live to at least 85, so make sure you do that. So if you got 45,676 minutes. That's how many minutes you're going to have if you live to 85 years. Think it's a lot? Sorry about the selfie. But what I would just recommend is you don't have to use all this information, right? But think about how many more of those minutes do you have ahead of you? And just kind of do some analysis, like how much am I spending on this stuff, or how much time, and how much am I spending in Toastmasters, which is something I really love to do. So just yourself, think about it, just kind of just an awareness of how many minutes. Now, you might not want to count it by minutes, but it does seem a lot more than if you count by the years. And then, of course, I have to give you all my sources. Because you're doing stuff you're going to say.
Good.
And then, it would not be appropriate if I didn't leave you with an earworm of your own and the words.
There we go.
right.